Hey guys, welcome to another edition or episode of the Space Age Electronics Podcast. Today I have a special guest, James Mongeau. He is one of our BDMs in the South Central region and is a little bit newer in this position and quite a bit younger than me. And so I wanted to have a conversation with James about what's it like to be in this type of position with Space Age as well as to figure out some of his background. So, James, welcome to the podcast.
Hey Casey, thanks for having me on.
So, South Central region, what states do you cover?
So the states I cover is Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and South and North Dakota. So quite a bit of states.
Yeah, that's a lot of flying.
Yep, a lot of land to cover.
And you just barely moved to Texas, right?
Yes, I have been in Texas for a week. I have moved from Massachusetts. I spent my last 4 years also in New Hampshire, so it's a bit different for me now, being in Texas.
Yeah, you're no longer one of those coastal elites. You're actually in the real part of America, Texas.
I'm gonna miss ski season though. I mean, I used to live 20 minutes from a mountain, and now it's like I can see for miles.
Yeah,
So super.
they call Texas the soup can state. If you stand in a can of soup, you can see the whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. In, opposed to what it was like in New Hampshire in the mountain region.
Well, what about I mean, speaking of wilds, I mean, this how long you been in this position? This is pretty new for you, right?
Yes, so I started this position in June. So it's only been a couple months, and it's been a really good time. I've really enjoyed this position, and I learn something new every day.
Well, you used to work. You worked for Space Age before in the factory doing different things, right?
Yep. So my background. So all of our BDMs have really different backgrounds.
Right.
Some worked for other fire alarm companies. Some worked as project managers. My background is manufacturing. So I worked in the manufacturing floor of Space Age, and for the past kind of 7 years, every summer, winter, I've done something different. So I've worked really in every single cell in our manufacturing process.
Well, I mean, I think I spent a total of like 1 week at the factory, and we do so much that I can't imagine how beneficial it'd be to have that much experience with the product for like years, like you have. You probably can rattle off a lot of part numbers a lot faster than I can.
Yeah, it's kind of like a secondhand skill to study them so you can read the process the work orders. But
Right.
it was interesting because every summer was different. I never knew what I was going to be doing because every cell, even though they're about 10 feet or whatever away, it's a totally different process. Sometimes an entirely different product line. You
Right.
have surge compression on one, and then you have custom screening the next cell over. It's totally different processes. So each summer would be a really different job and kind of starting from scratch and learning again.
Well, you so I that's good. It helps you learn and it helps you flex your muscles and kind of get a good understanding of how just business works in general. Now, this position is new for you. How are you liking being a business development manager? How's it going?
I love it. I love meeting with our partners, especially now living alone in Texas, not knowing anyone. It's great to meet people, and everyone's super nice.
Right.
It's a really interesting industry, and I've learned a lot just kind of traveling and just listening to our partners and what people know and everyone's different background. But I've enjoyed this position every day since I've started.
It is fun meeting a bunch of different people. Uh, doing like a sales type job, like a traveling job like this, it's not really. I mean, it's not consumer sales. Your customers what we call an educated customer, or a lot of our customers are straight to the business owner, and so you're not trying to like be too flashy. It's more of like conversational and like talking about solutions and stuff. So that's why I've enjoyed it. What are some challenges that you've had that you didn't think you'd have, or like what did you not expect?
So one thing I'm really learning, so fire alarm is perceived everywhere very differently. Uh, Code standards, and for me, who's learning what even the code and standards are, my biggest challenge is understanding how it can be influenced in different areas and what places adopt certain standards and
Right.
certain codes. And that's my biggest hurdle is one because I come from the manufacturing side, so I understand the product, but now the fire alarm and like actual installation side is where I gain the most from meeting with people who do it, and I learn a lot from that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you can see how the pizza's made, but if you never see it actually get served to the customers and see why the customers order that specific pizza, then you don't really have the full experience. I noticed that at the factory, I was talking to people and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! You make this." And they're just like, "I'm like, do you know what this does?" They're like, "Nope." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, we use this relay for door holders." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I don't know what a door holder is." So it's fascinating like you said, kind of the disconnect sometimes within the business, and I think the role that we have allows you to get a bigger picture of a lot of things and kind of seeing, kind of like a 30,000 foot view of the entire sales and manufacturing process.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to give an example, like in metal fab, in the back of the shop, so we would make like the plates or the boards that go in the document box. But back there, you see a part number and you have to manufacture it and pass it off. I would never see where that went, what
Right.
cabinet I would go to until I got into that next cell. I'm like, oh, hey, I remember making this back in the metal fab. And now I see it when I deliver a product. I'm like, oh, that's the piece that I made in metal fab that went
Right.
into this other piece. It's really interesting because there's a disconnect when you have a manufacturing process. You don't actually see it being installed and what
Right.
even its purpose is. So that's super cool, and that's one of the things I've been really interested in when I see and learn what some of the products really do when they're applied.
Right. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's gonna help you, man. It's gonna help you so much is kind of knowing from start to finish how it all works. But I mean, we like the word partners, and we're a business development managers. Other companies would call us salespeople. I know Space Age doesn't like that because we're not really like knocking on doors for POs and stuff. But we are knocking on doors. And so, is this your first type of sales job ever?
No, so I worked for a smaller company, TC Life Safety, a year ago, doing a lot of cold calling for sales.
Okay.
But as far as concerning a sales position, it is my first, and my background at Plymouth State University taught me a lot about sales.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you just barely graduated, right?
yes, I'm 23 years old, and I graduated in May with a marketing degree and a certificate in professional selling.
Are you so you already have a job?
Yes.
Good for you. I mean, there's so many people just graduating now who are so nervous about getting a job. Uh, there's a lot of jobs to get. There
Oh
really
yeah, I
is.
mean, before I graduated, so I played football at Plymouth, and my senior year was kind of washed because of COVID, and I had too much time on my hands, so I needed to find something to do. So I became a server at an Italian restaurant.
Okay.
Talking about jobs, that restaurant industry, man, that is a hustle. That's a workout, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever done.
So that probably helped you talk to strangers and meet people for the first time and try and make a good impression.
Yeah, I mean, butchering Italian, where it's a table of 10, like, there's not much more of an icebreaker you can get.
Right. Right. Did you now? Uh, what'd you go to school for? What'd you graduate with?
So I went to school for marketing, but
Okay.
my primary focus was sales. I was part of the Plymouth State sales program.
Oh, they have like their own sales program.
Yes, so you can take a couple different classes at Plymouth State that give you a sales background. But to give you an idea, like say when you're a sales one student, you take this class, and it teaches you soft skills that you will probably use for the rest of your life. One competition, one thing you do in sales one is elevator pitches. It's how to convey a message in a minute about yourself or about a product, and everyone has to do it, and you do it in front of judges, which is pretty nerve wracking if you don't like talking in front of people. But it's a skill that it has helped me since.
I mean, elevator pitches I use them every day. I go and talk to companies where they don't even know that they've never even heard of Space Age, and I have to get past the front desk person, and I have to kind of do a pitch to them, and then change my pitch when I talk to the next guy. The next guy. That's cool. I didn't even know that there was like a program that they did that in college. My college didn't do that. What else? So besides elevator pitches, well, tell me more about the sales program. What else you guys learn?
So in the sales program, you after that sales one, you can also do sales two. And one really neat thing. So Professor Nato, Bob Nato, you can find him on LinkedIn. He's done a great job on securing sponsors. So companies will actually sponsor a sales competition where all sales students will participate, and they'll get a couple weeks to learn about that company's product and put themselves in their shoes. And then they'll go speak on competition day to a panel of judges from that company. And they will be
Oh,
doing about
okay.
a 20-minute meeting where they do everything from building rapport to finding needs, to delivering the product, and to try to close and get another meeting. And that's part of the class. Every student does that.
So it's really hands on.
Very hands-on, and it's very business oriented. The professors do a great job with having deadlines and treating it like the business world. Because if you show up late to a class, it's like showing up late to a meeting. It really is a great program for getting students over the line to become business professionals and salespeople.
That's awesome. I didn't wish I would have known that program existed. I kind of got my sales through walking the streets and talking to people, hard knocks, and there's so many things that I wish I would have known before going into just talking to people. So you really had a leg up from that.
Yeah, this is something I stumbled into as well. I didn't know this going to Plymouth State. Um, so it was something I discovered sophomore year, and I wish I did it all 4 years.
You know, they I don't know if you know this, but the first college I went to, my degree was electrical engineering.
Really.
And I left that school. I left that college, went to a different one, and changed my major. And I they always said that the best engineer is the engineer who can talk to the salespeople, and the best salesperson is the one who could talk to the engineer. And I knew how circuits worked, but also I feel like I was a better salesman. And I think sometimes people think like sales is easy. It's like, oh, I'm a people person. I'm going to be fine. I can talk to anyone. Well, there's talking, and then there's listening, and then there's talking back in a way that's going to make you get to a point where you actually have an end goal of a sale or a partnership. So, gosh, that's awesome. I really wish that my school had that.
And even going back to what you said in the beginning, getting past it's called they call it getting past the gatekeeper. That was a
Yeah.
lot. Getting past the desk attendant, to talk to who you need to. And I've been seeing a lot on LinkedIn lately that companies in our industry are looking for regional salespeople and looking for salespeople. The Plymouth State sales program is a really good recruiting program to meet with young sales students who are looking and hungry for a new job. And yeah, I just kind of want to bring light to that because that's a really interesting program that's taught me a lot that I still use every day.
And I'm glad you're recognizing that you do use it every day, because it is. I mean, if it does truly teach what you say it teaches, those are so important. And I mean, it makes you employable. I I think that Space Age hired me after I went to a dinner with a few of the guys, and I was just so used to doing my sales talks that I just kind of carried it on to the dinner. And then actually a few years later, Space Age offered me a job. So that's cool. That's cool. So really,
I'm sure your comedy helped with that too.
yeah, comedy, the rosy cheeks, blue eyes, the whole package, whatever you want to say. Uh, is there anything specifically that like you remember in class or like from that program that you've used recently with a customer or even with like a coworker? Because I mean, half the time we have to like sell the factory on stuff that we're doing, right?
I would say role playing. A lot of role playing we would do every class. We would work with our students, and that's helped me a lot. Being able to actually talk to people and having conversations and not feel weird about it. It just feels like a role play. And it's really repetition and practice. So the amount of immersion you get at the Plymouth State sales program and just going over things and doing them over and over again, it turns into like just like a soft skill you don't even think about. And that's helped me a lot.
I we did a little program where we did role plays all the time. I hated them so much, but gosh dang it, they really work.
Yeah,
It's
no, they definitely do. It's practice. It's just same sports, right? The more you do something, the better you get.
well, it's kind of like a student saying it's like, no, I'm a good. It's like, no, I know the material. I'm just bad at tests. It's like, oh, so you're bad at the thing that tests if you know the material. That's the way the role plays. It's like I'm a good salesperson, but I'm bad at role plays. Like, no, you're not a good salesperson then. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that they make you guys do role plays. I
Yeah,
I
and
used
they
to them all
touch
the
on
time.
all the different sales things. We did like a class on cold calling,
Uh-huh.
and just little things. I mean, everyone hates cold calling, but there's different skills to make it easier, and not as just sad sometimes.
Well, gosh, I think that sounds pretty cool. So yeah, I didn't realize you had that much of a sales background. That's pretty cool.
Yep, that was all just from school. But as far as in person and actually working, I've only been in for a couple months. And really now just trying to become an expert in the field, learning as much as I can about all the different things we do. Um, and like we touch on so many different products. Like we do everything from construction safety, two-way communication. It's very different.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of different lines. A lot of people don't know. They only know like two or three products that we sell, and I mean, we have literally have thousands that we do. Um, it's it's a fun job, right? And
Yeah, I
are
love it.
are you still becoming a better salesperson though?
Yes, every day. I mean, just learn from your mistakes, right?
Right. Yeah. After just getting out there and doing it. Well, jeez, man, it's so I'm surprised. I guess I'm not surprised. I've talked to you before. You pretty much know how to hold a conversation, ask the right questions. So that makes sense that you have that background. What are you looking forward to next year with Space Age?
I'm looking forward to having meeting all my customers and all the partners with Space Age. That's kind of the big thing right now is getting my foot in the door and introducing myself. Just shaking hands. I want to drop off my card. I just want to let people know that they can reach out to me. We're really a bridge, if you think about it, between us and the factory, to help out with everyone and understand where their products are and what's going on. So to do my job better, I would like them to know that I'm here. And so that's really what it's been. I'm looking forward in a year for once I can get that accomplished and get all my little trips out of the way. Shake a lot of hands. I'm looking forward to that.
There you go. Sweet. Um, I'm trying to think what other questions I had. I think that was it. I think I asked all the questions that I had written down. Um, you said Grapevine, Texas, right?
Yeah.
It's a great area. I think I lived in Louisville for a bit. It's
Oh, that's right. It's right next to me.
Yeah, Louisville, Flower Mound, technically. It was fun.
Yeah, that's right next to me. I'm
It
like
was
on the line, basically
on the line. Sweet.
on the line.
Well, James, I learned a lot about you. Looking forward to, I think we have a meeting at the beginning of the year, but hopefully we'll get to travel again together sometime and maybe do some role plays of how we're going to, get better solutions for some people, right?
Yes, absolutely, Casey. Thanks for
Well,
having me on. It's been great, and yeah, I'll see you soon when that year meeting comes around.
yep. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of the Space Age Electronics Podcast. Remember, if you have any questions about any of our products or any solutions, please go to onesae.com. Or, of course, always look at us on LinkedIn. Okay? Thanks, guys. Have a great day.